That a migrant family is coming back to Sackets Harbor. We ask questions about how that came to be. 7 News reporter Chad Charette learned some think Saturday's rally helped, while others don't.
Just days ago, this yard in front of the Sackets Harbor Visitor Center was filled with roughly 1,000 people who marched, demanding the release of a migrant family of 4 from ICE custody. Now, that family is on its way home.
I mean, obviously pretty excited about the outcome, frankly pretty surprised as well.
Despite the massive community response, Assemblyman Scott Gray, who remained in contact with Border Czar Tom Homan throughout the family's detainment, doesn't believe the protest had anything to do with it.
It would have been done regardless of what happened on Saturday. Saturday had no influence on the situation whatsoever.
Gray reiterates what the Border Czar told 7 News, that the family was sent to an ICE detention center in Texas as part of an investigation to make sure they weren't victims of a crime. As federal agents arrested the family while executing a warrant in search of a South African man accused of possessing child pornography.
Safety of the kids was our focus. And when that was established, and that would be done by law enforcement, they were returned home.
In a letter released Saturday, Sackets Harbor's principal rebutted the Border Czar's statement, saying that she'd spoken to the kids, and she says the family was not being questioned as potential victims, nor were they being medically evaluated. There are others that aren't satisfied with ICE's explanation.
I don't know why they would fly them 1,800 miles across the country to question them or to make sure that they weren't involved. That makes zero sense to me. Why they couldn't have stayed here or been closer.
Jefferson County Democratic Committee Chair Corey DeSillis helped organize the protest. He's convinced that if it weren't for the public outcry, things could have ended a lot differently.
I think obviously if we wouldn't have got the story out there and the message out there and the national media coverage, I think they probably would have been deported.
Gray says he was informed that the family was going to be released Saturday night. Now they're out of custody and transportation is being arranged back to the North Country. Chad Charette, 7 News.